Hello. So I thought today I would do a track breakdown. I'm going to take the last video, the last jam I uploaded, and show you the different elements that made up the track and talk a bit about my thought process when I was putting it all together. So I just put a bunch of new sounds into the OP1 and I was messing about with this one called Nasal. Which, by the way, if anyone's played the game Celeste, it sounds like the way the characters talk to each other in that. And I took it down into the land of bass. And I like the way these three notes work together. And it had a kind of a hip hop vibe, so I set my tempo to 88 BPM and brought my click track up and just decided to record those three notes to have something to work with. So next is the drums, and the first kit I tried was the OP1 preset called Allspice, and instantly knew that that was the sound I was looking for. So I'll just bring the click up. It's got that 90s kind of tight hip hop vibe. So for the hi-hat, I actually used the endless sequencer and I recorded a sequence of just the hi-hat, just one. And that ensures that you get super tight hi-hat, like metronome tight. And to record that, I'm just on track 2, hold record and let the sequence play. For the kick and snare, I decided to put it on track 3 so that I could have it separate from the hi-hat, and I'm just going to try playing it in by hand. Yeah. So next I spent a bit of time experimenting with different sounds on top of the beat. And I spent a bit of time with this sound called floaty. And I also spent a bit of time messing about with a kind of organ. But I just couldn't get anything to quite sit right, and eventually settled on the mellotron strings. And that fits perfectly. So I recorded them onto track 4. So I've got something on all 4 tracks now, and I'm beginning to think about what can I play on top of that and also bring in the modular into the party. And so the first thing I like to do is bring the Lo-Fi setting up on the effects aid. And I'm just bringing it up a tiny bit. It adds that subtle flanging, a bit of compression, a bit of punch. Let's take it out again. It just adds some character, and I also want to get the data bender in to do its mad thing, So I've got Pam's new workout at 88 BPM, and I'm just making sure to hit this in time with the beat. And now I can bring this in. And again, I just want a tiny amount of data bender in. If I was to turn the dry wet all the way up, then it's way too intense. I want the beat to come through. Tiny amount. So for the sound over the top, I first experimented with a sound called NES, N-E-S. Which I think sounds great, but it was maybe just a bit too computer gamey. I love computer gamey, but not for this beat. And I thought because the beat is so kind of dark sounding, it would be nice to kind of counter that with something that sounds quite nice. And so I went for the sine wave. Just going to take the LFO off, pitch it up and bring the volume up a bit. And I felt that kind of adds to the track quite a bit. And at this point I just spent like 10-15 minutes figuring out a melody. So this was just looping over and I was just playing around to see what I was going to play. I wanted to know exactly what I was going to do. So now I've decided on all the elements of my track and I'm starting to think about structure. So for the intro, I know that I want the drums out and the strings out. So I'm going to start by syncing the data bender with Pam's and starting the track. And my initial impression was it's a bit boring. The notes are kind of just too long and there's nothing happening, so I thought I'll bring the melody in straight away to establish that melody. So next I'm going to bring in the strings, and I thought I like to do a tape stop before the strings come in, which again just adds a bit more something. And I kind of decided every time the strings come in I'll do a tape stop leading up to it, and that can be like a kind of structural characteristic about the strings part. So I'm just going to play through one round and then bring the strings in. So in order to add more character and give the string section a bit more personality, I decided to bring the repeats up on the data bender during the string part, and that adds some like more sort of funky drum styles. Let's have a listen. take it off for this melody section, and that kind of establishes a bit of difference between the two parts. And as we're into the second kind of verse now, I guess, if it's kind of like verse chorus, you also want to add more variation. So I started thinking about the global effects on the OP1, and I set up this delay setting, which is a good sound. I mean, it sounds really cool, and also it makes Databender do some mad stuff if it decides to pick it up on it. It's kind of random. There we go. So my structure is kind of coming together. I've got the intro with the melody, then I've got the beat kicking in, got my strings section, back to the melody, and we're kind of coming into the final string section. So for this one, to just give it a bit more oomph, I'm going to have string section with the repeats up and play the melody. And so that's like everything that I've got going on is going on in this sort of final verse or chorus or whatever it is. So now that the track has climaxed, it's time to bring things down, soften things down a wee bit. And so for the outro, I'm going to take the drums out and the strings out, leaving the bass, the hi-hat and the sine wave melody. For the second rotation, I decided to change the LOFI setting on Effects Aid to a reverb. This just makes it a bit more spacious and mellow. And then finally take the bass out as well. And I really like the idea of ending it on this kind of slight twist. It's a bit different. It's kind of like a wee bonus section, and it's also quite light compared to the dark tune. So it's kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel. And also that just sounds really cool. And I've always liked it in albums or whatever, in tracks, where at the end the song kind of can drift into something else as like a little bonus at the end of the track. And now that I've kind of got the structure sorted in my head, basically I'm going to spend 50 times trying to get it right. And actually with this track, I did get it right in maybe like 5 takes, but normally it takes quite a lot of time. So once I'm happy with my take and I've got it recorded, I will jump over into Ableton and do a little bit of post-production, and I'll show you that now. Okay, so here is my finished performance in Ableton, and the first thing I do generally is bring up an EQ and scroll through the track looking for any kind of dodgy frequencies. So I'll take it to the busiest part of the track. So I think the high end is sounding good, and as is the low end. And I'm just going to scoop a wee bit out of the middle here. I think that's actually quite extreme, but you know, sounds good to me. And I'm going to boost the kick. So let's take the EQ off. Yeah, that sounds better to me. I might even lift the high end a wee bit. It's definitely punchier and a bit cleaner. So next I've got the Valve compressor, which is a compressor made or designed with the band Valve Pick. Shout out to Drew Blood for letting me know about this one. And it just sounds really good. You've got this wow control here if you want some more wobble, which I often do. This lo-fi setting, which sounds really nice. Takes out a lot of the high end though. But listen to the difference in the snare. Especially when I bring the compression up. So I'll take these two off. And lastly, I've got Isotope Ozone here. And when it's just a kind of live jam like this, I'll just use the Master Assistant because it will kind of highlight any mad problems in the sound and bring everything up to like a pretty good level. So I might as well just run that just now. I'll take the track back a wee bit. Gonna go for modern, medium, and for streaming. Now the volume might jump up a wee bit here. Maybe I'll edit that after so I don't blow anyone's ears. There we go. Now I do notice my master fader is peaking. What have I got on the fader? Just gonna bring that down a wee bit. So where was I? So let's have a look at what Ozone did. Cut a lot of the high end, the low end out, so no, maybe I shouldn't have boosted the kick. And it's actually put the high end up a whole load. But you know what? It's done it now with the personality of the Valve compressor. It really changes the tone of that snare. So yeah, now it's just ready to get synced to the video and uploaded. So I hope you've enjoyed this breakdown. Let me know in the comments if you did. And also let me know if you'd be interested in like sample packs of any of these kind of jams, because that's something I've been thinking about doing, but I don't want to do it if no one's going to use it. Anyway, I'll see you next time and take it easy.